Hello, this is Claire Kerslake, and I want to talk to you today about what to do if you think tapping's a little bit too woo-woo for you. You've heard a lot about it, but no, it's a bit too out there. And I can certainly relate to this, and it's with a little bit of a heavy heart that I say that, because certainly I used to think the same. I used to think it probably does work, but it's a bit out there. And if I talk to clients about it, I would say almost like, oh dear, there's this thing, it's a little bit weird, I'm not sure if it's going to work. And of course, was betraying no confidence in that. And of course, they didn't take up the very thing that would have helped them. So this is very close to my heart, this topic. And I can certainly see where you're coming from if you think it's a bit out there, because it's weird. Let's face it, you say certain things and they've got to be said in a certain way, and you tap here and you tap there, and oh goodness, it does sound really strange. Now, what totally turned me around was just the realization that there's a large and growing body of evidence on tapping and the effectiveness for a huge range of issues. So it's been around, if you're not familiar with tapping, it's been around 35 years, and it's also called emotional freedom technique. And tapping for obvious reasons, because you're tapping on different parts of the body. Now, what I love is the research, because I'm quite woo-woo really, but the research around that really backs up what we've kind of always known, that tapping works. And it's a growing and building research base as well, which is very exciting. And with new technologies such as functional MRIs, we can actually see the changes that are happening in the brain after people have tapped. So for instance, we know that tapping changes our gene expression. Just an hour of tapping will change the DNA expression in 72 genes in a good way. We know that, for instance, and everyone is familiar with, the stress and the chronic stress that everyone is under really, and the impact that has on our health, very, very negative impact. But we know that once again, an hour of tapping will reduce the cortisol levels by 24%. Now, cortisol naturally lower through the day, but the equivalent without tapping, if you'd just gone to have a nap, for instance, or done nothing, would have been 14%. So a significant shift. PTSD, tapping is quite extraordinary for PTSD, and we hear a lot about that. And it has devastating consequences for anyone who's going through that and their families. So we know that for 6 sessions of tapping for someone with PTSD, and the participants in that study showed that they weren't exhibiting any symptoms, so they weren't able to be diagnosed anymore with PTSD. So it was that effective. Now, with other therapies such as CBT, it took 18 sessions, so 6 versus 18. An EFT is extraordinarily effective and very, very quick. We know that one of the beautiful things about tapping an EFT in the food craving area is that its effectiveness, and there's some beautiful research around that now, where participants were followed up a year later. And we know it's as effective as the gold standard treatment, which is CBT. But participants only needed 8 weeks, like 8-week tapping program, instead of 6 months with CBT. So as I say, very fast. The results stay, like they don't go away. At the end of the 8 weeks, they stay around. And what's beautiful is that often when the participants are rung and followed up, as with any research trial, they often can't remember what they're even craving. So if you're in the situation like I was, and really struggling with food cravings, and you know just what a hold that has on your life and the angst and stress that it causes, not to be able to remember is quite amazing. So I hope that's answered a few questions if you think that tapping's a bit woo-woo. And I know it's weird, but I just stand behind it 100% just because the research is just so extraordinary, and just the effects in my life have been amazing. But now we can say not only do we think it works, we've got these studies and they're building as well. Very exciting times. That's it from me today, and looking forward to bringing you some more tapping tips soon. Bye for now.